All right, welcome to another episode of the Portrait Mode podcast. Today's guest is somebody who had the privilege of knowing for a long time. He is an amazing photographer, a good person, and most of all, a good friend. So I'm excited to welcome to the show Mr. Matt Hernandez today, and we'll let Matt tell about himself here in a minute. But we're going to turn the tables a little bit, and Matt is going to actually capture my portrait. I'm looking for an updated portrait. And I'm here at his studio in Kentucky, and he's going to capture my portrait today. So I'm very excited and blessed to have him on the other side of the camera from me today. So Matt, welcome to the Portrait Mode podcast. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you've been doing. And just go ahead and introduce yourself.
I am a sports and portrait photographer in Kentucky. I have been for 13 years now. Yep, it's a long time. Um, yeah, but you can tell how old I am. My grays are really coming through. Um, yeah, I have a wife. I have one son, two stepsons, one stepdaughter. Um, the boys play baseball, so we're really involved in that. And then I take pictures. I feel like I take pictures like part of the time now and go to baseball games the majority of the time these days. But yeah, so I love sports. I always have. I met Jake. He messaged me when I was shooting the McDonald's All American games, like in 2000. I don't know when that was, 15 maybe. And we met at Taco Bell when I was leaving Chicago, and we've been friends since. So he's a great guy, and I'm happy to help him out with whatever he wants. He just came and helped me out with the workshop in Paducah, dynamic lighting for Summit Workshops. I partner with them, and I teach it also their lighting and sports workshop. But the dynamic lighting is in Paducah at my home studio. So we just started doing that last year, and yeah, he came and ran it and assisted, and he did awesome. So I want to return the favor and help him out any way I can. So I don't know why he wants me on here, but here I am.
Yeah, it's been a good relationship. I do believe I bought you a quesadilla, not a steak dinner, but we met at Taco Bell and remember that. And then a couple years later, we connected at the Sync conference. Matt was doing a photo walk, and I was doing a talk, and we literally sat on the back porch of the hotel in rocking chairs for about 4 hours. And my if you know John Maxwell says nothing is great until life has changed. And I look at Matt as a great person because that night my life changed a lot. He convinced me to do 75 hard. I went home, I did that, and the 75 hard led to a lot of other changes in our business, and even in a way led to the confidence to start a podcast, to start the whole portrait concept that we've come about here. And hopefully that continues to grow and that movement grows. It was great to be a part of the workshop this weekend. Thanks for having me. We actually talked to photographers. We had photographers from all over the United States come join us in Paducah, Kentucky. We shot for 3 days. Matt had amazing models, amazing athletes, amazing images. And we talked about the portrait mode with that group as well. And very responsive to it, and excited to grow that movement. So Matt, tell us about you. You mentioned baseball. You mentioned your youngest, and I know your youngest is super involved. You're going to a lot of baseball games. How do you instill confidence in your son? How do you try to teach him that work ethic and that confidence? What are some of the things that you do?
I feel like I'm failing with that right now. It's very hard with young kids, but I think repetition. That's the reason I'm a confident photographer is because I've done it a million times. Like there's the 10. I tell people this all the time. There's the 10,000 hour rule. They say that you have to do something for 10,000 hours to be an expert at it. I calculated it one day, just kind of loosely. I probably have, like, I'm probably working on 40,000 for photography, and then probably about the same, if not more, for editing because I used to be a graphic designer. So it's been a lot for both because I don't work. I still work enough, obviously, and I still work very hard. I'm probably smarter than I used to be about the way that I work, but I don't work as much, and so I don't work as long as I used to, as many hours. But it used to be a lot, and it still is sometimes now. But that's why I know how good I am, and I don't brag about that because I'm not an arrogant person, but I also know that I am very skilled, and that's because I've done it for a long time, and people like my work, so I'm very confident in it, and I try to tell my kids that they don't, they're 9, about to be 10, and 11, my two youngest boys, so that you have to do something a lot to know that you're good at it. because you're not going to be till then. You might have talent at it, but you're not going to develop a skill set until you put the work in. That's where confidence comes from. And it's hard to tell a 10-year-old that because they don't, most of them don't want to go do it by themselves if they haven't developed that. So hopefully there's a fine line between pushing them too hard and letting them do it at their own pace because you don't want to wear them out and make them not like it. But you also want them to understand what you have to do to be good at anything. And I tell them that all the time, that it's not just baseball, it's everything like what I do. I use myself as an example. That's the reason I'm good, is because I have put so much time and effort into it, so much work. So that's really what it is.
Absolutely. And with youth sports, like the tie into youth sports, both of us shoot a lot of little leagues and stuff. Part of my portrait mode idea was little leaguers have so much confidence. Like when they step in front of your camera, you give a kid a new pair of cleats, a new uniform, and they just seem so confident when they walk in front of it. And then here's Matt, who has 40,000 hours of editing, one of the most accomplished dudes, and he is super humble. He will not, he does not sit there and brag, but has all this confidence in the world. Yet Matt's hesitant to get in front of a portrait and to have that, he's not going to put a magnet of himself on the fridge. However, I think if we can capture a little bit of that through a portrait that's in our office or something, I think it's a way to remind ourselves to have that confidence. It's to remind ourselves that we have accomplished those 40,000 hours, because we tend to forget that, and we tend to, especially if you're a professional trying to accomplish any kind of goal, it's going to take a little bit of time to remind that. And we get in these modes where oh my gosh, I'm awful. I can't figure this out. I can't do this. And that portrait, if you can look at that portrait on the wall and just take a second to refocus and go, boom, okay, no, that's the guy who's got 40,000 hours of this. Get your stuff together, regroup, and let's go and hit a reset. And that can be a place of center. And we don't always have that. Like, we've got a scattered desk, we've got, a messy office or whatever. But if we can have that portrait on the wall, that's part of my thinking is for portrait mode, and why I feel like everybody should have a portrait hung on the wall.
It's a very unique idea. I like it.
Yeah,
I'm glad I'm not the one getting my picture made, though.
And we will break Matt down eventually. We may have to trade seats here.
I'm pretty stubborn.
Eventually, he is pretty stubborn, but we'll go. Matt, from knowing you, and one of the things that you've rubbed off on me a little bit, you are very much a man of faith, and just tell me how faith plays a role in your business and your confidence and that kind of thing. Just talk a little bit about that.
Well, I know God's always going to provide for me. That's one of that's the basis for, the Bible really is that you have to. That's what faith is believing that. So even when times are hard, like I'm listening to 10-minute. I forgot what it's called. I should have looked.
10-minute mental toughness.
No, it's 10 minutes of the Bible.
Gotcha.
And that you're supposed to listen to it on the way to work. And it's talking about Job and how much suffering he went through, and God basically gave him the Satan the permission to, because Satan said that he loved God because of what he'd given him, and so and God knew that obviously that Job would prove him wrong, so he gave Satan permission to break him down and take those things away to see how he would react, and he reacted by still praising him, and it's hard to remember that, but because everybody has hard times, but whether it's money or losing business or whatever, we all go through that, and personal stuff too. So I don't know. That's what keeps me, and that's what I actually listened to today, which is ironic, but I already knew that obviously. So that's what I always try to remember, that whenever things get hard, and just remember that nothing is really as big of a deal as we make it out to be honest with you. And so when you put things in perspective, keep them in perspective by reminding yourself that, it makes things a lot easier. And I'm guilty of getting stressed too and freaking out sometimes, but just like everybody else. But once I found my faith, that really helped me with everything, because it helps you be less stressed because you understand what's happening. You have to let God work, and he won't make things good no matter what, but you have to give it time sometimes. Not everything's going to be good all the time. He's not going to give you everything you want. Sometimes he does give you what you want, though, and it's okay to ask for that, but you got to remember to be patient.
And you've got to be ready when he does put an opportunity in front of you. My wife is it's God's time. It's not your time. It's God's time. When I get impatient with things or I want things to happen, and we've had a great weekend with participants. I spent a lot of time at the hotel talking to folks, and we talked a lot about, some of the photographers there, they really want a studio. They want a studio like Matt's. And we talked about how it's just timing, and that everything you've done up to this point in your career is preparing you for that. Everything that I've done in my career really prepared me for this weekend, and to be able to facilitate and help guide the workshop, and then pull in the best of your talents, and work with everybody's, all the different personalities. And if I hadn't worked in staffing and been a parks and recreation major and done some of the things I've done, which you didn't understand at the time, the older you get, the more you see how all those experiences, your graphic design experience, your love for sports, how that all works in together. And God has this plan that puts you kind of right where you need to be. And you're going to go through struggles, but even those struggles, in a portrait, I look at those struggles as a shadow. Like, we can't have a portrait that's just, you're big about shadows. It adds definition, it adds life. Well, your failures and your challenges, those are shadows, but they create definitions, and no two shadows are ever the same. So the failures and struggles that you've been through make you who you are, and they push you sometimes to go. You can't just get buried by them and just give up. You've got to have faith that, okay, that's happening for a reason. Why is it happening? Why is it happening for me? Not why is it happening to me, kind of thing, and move forward. So,
Wow, you giving us a lot of thought. That was good.
thanks.
Shadows, that's impressive.
Yeah. So, in portrait, and if you have too much light, like, light is spirit, light is God. If you have way too much of it and you only rely on the light when you're taking a portrait, you can get washed out. You can get nuclear. You have to have this balance between actually taking action. You can't just pray for something and say, God, I hope I get this. I hope I have it. You have to go put some effort into it, and you have to actually show him that you're working towards whatever that goal is. And I believe that he responds by putting people like Matt in your life. Without Matt, like, I wouldn't be here, and without asking Matt to meet me at Taco Bell, I wouldn't be here either. So, there's a give and take with that relationship that puts you in the right place at the right time. So, talk a little bit about, we just taught. You are an amazing teacher. You've got your YouTube videos. You do these workshops. How does teaching, like a weekend like we just had, where 3 days and it's hustle and bustle, but you can see the wheels turning as you set things up and you teach people how to do these setups. How does that make you better as a photographer when you're doing this teaching? Or what do you love about teaching? Just talk a little bit about that.
I like helping people, and help if they want to learn, then I want to help them. So it makes me feel good. It makes me feel good about myself, but that's not why I'm doing it. I mean, that's what we're created for, is to help each other. So whether it's photography or anything else, and that is what I'm good at. So, I feel like that God's going to use me to help people with that. And so I don't want to fight it. I want to nurture that. And so I don't know why people like listening to me, because I feel like I'm boring, but I guess it works. So they're here for a reason. So I'm not going to fight that. I'm going to do it because I love it. Like David told me that, like, I always talk about Dave Black and how much he's meant to me in my career, and how much he inspired me, and how he's a mentor to me and everything. And he really started my teaching career because he asked me to go to Summit, my first Summit workshop, as a student, and then I ended up teaching there. And he helped me gain a lot of my confidence, because I was very inexperienced at the time. But David said I was his Dave Black, and that, like, I mean, he about cried when he told me, and like that really about made me cry, because that's what it's about. That's what you want, because that's why he was here. That's why he was putting my life where I was putting his, whichever one, whichever way you want to look at it. So he's going to pay that forward too, and hopefully he can be. I'm his Dave Black. Hopefully he can be somebody's Matthernandez, like down the road. I don't like saying that because I don't think that I'm that great, but you know what I mean. So, but I like watching people get better, and I like seeing it click. There's a lot of workshops out there that just show you the setup and you shoot it, and you don't really know why they're doing it. But we walk through everything. Yes, I like things similar, but I have to incorporate it into each environment, and that's why we go to different environments, outside, inside. And you see a pattern, but you also have to learn how to adapt that pattern to the environment you're in, and that's the hard part. And then you have to work with a human being also, which is not easy. So it's a challenge, and it also makes me take it off. I don't want to say I'm on autopilot every day, because I'm not, but I'm also in, like, career mode, versus teaching mode is not the same. It's good to break it down and explain why you're doing things, because it can help you slow down a little bit and think about things in a little bit different way, and it helps me be more creative because I always leave inspired whether I'm a student or whether I'm a teacher at a workshop. So
Absolutely, and I think the comments and the conversations that we've had, that's amazing about. I can totally see David, and we even saw David teaching others
oh
at
yeah,
the
he was a huge help.
workshop. So it was amazing to see that transformation and see that inspiration. And that's a lot what we want to do with the portrait mode too. We have to, as human beings, we have to be better about sharing our talents and our love and abilities with others to make others better. We cannot get in this, we get in this competition world, especially photographers, and who's better and who's best or whatever. But in reality, we have photographers from all over the nation, and everybody has their own market. There is plenty of photography business to go around. So to be able to teach somebody to be better throughout that is just absolutely amazing thing. So that's closing the door on us. Are you cold? He's sweating. Oh, we got to turn the AC up a little bit for the man. That Dave Black thing almost made me cry. I did not see that. I did not see that. And I could see that. But David is I mean, we had amazing conversations. We really had a great crew. And for photographers, if there's any photographers listening or somebody wants to get it, it's summitworkshops.com. That's not a paid advertisement. That's just both Matt and I work with Chris Deppig, the owner, and really enjoy what they do. They have wildlife photography. They have a lot of different opportunities to learn and grow from professionals, and you really have access to them. It's a really great workshop, and I'm blessed to be a part of it. I got to work the workshop in March, and then got to come down and run this one, and it was super rewarding. And I kind of felt the same way. Like there were things that were said last night that I went to bed thinking, wow, okay, we really did something here. For those of you not watching on video, Matt is a pretty in shape guy. He values his fitness. He won't brag about that. But one of the things when in 2022 we were sitting on the back deck and talking about 75 hard, which if you don't know 75 hard, it's a fitness and mental challenge. It's 75 days.
It's not a fitness challenge. Don't say
No,
that.
you don't. Matt doesn't like a fitness challenge. What do you want?
No, Andy's the one that would get mad at you for saying
Yeah,
it's a
probably
fitness
he would.
challenge.
What would you call it?
It's a mental transformation program.
I like it. It's a mental transformation program. So, and I had severe doubts about my ability to do it. And after talking with Matt, who has done it twice at that point, and I think now you're up to 4 times, 4 or 5? How many times?
3 or 4.
So I think he's on 4. He won't tell you, but he just finished it. He's just coming off of it. But anyways, it's an amazing program. It takes a lot of discipline in that. But just talk a little bit about how your fitness and discipline, whether you're on 75 hard or not on 75 hard, plays into your ability to do what you do, from being a dad to business owner, that kind of thing.
If you don't do it the right way, it'll get in the way. So you have to do it the right way because you got to work out twice a day, and they have to be 3 hours apart. One of them has to be outside. So if you don't work out first thing in the morning early before everybody, or me anyway, before everybody gets up, then having kids in a business, the rest of my day is screwed. But that makes you you prioritize everything that you do, because if you don't, then you won't have time for it all, because you have to read 10 pages of a self-help book or motivational book, nonfiction. You have to drink a gallon of water, which I do anyway. Normally I'd only work out once, most likely, sometimes twice, but usually once. And then what else? No cheat meals, no alcohol, which that's not time consuming. That's just discipline. And then the reading, progress picture, that's not time. But the workout and the reading are the things that in the water that you have to spread out. So if you don't make them, if you don't have a plan, then you're gonna mess yourself up, or you're not gonna have time for your family because you're gonna have to work out twice in the evening, which is not okay. So you have to make sure that you stick to the plan. And so it makes me have a plan for everything when I do it. And that's why I like it. And that's why I think everybody likes it, is because you can do it the other way and it's still going to be beneficial, but the best way is to like spread it out like that and do it, where it makes sense, like throughout the day, I think anyway. And then, because you're going to get a structure for everything, which is what really everybody wants, is a structure.
Absolutely. And you learn to figure out the weather and whether I need my morning workout outside or those kinds of things. Or sometimes you've got to work out in the rain because it's going to be raining that day. It's designed to make you do hard things. And for me, I've always given everything to everybody else. And 75 hard was really the first time where I felt like I did something for me. And it sounds selfish, but I was at a point where I needed it from both a mental standpoint and a physical standpoint. Certainly, you can lose a lot of weight if you do it the right way, which is awesome, or you can get yourself more in shape, that fitness part of it. But the mental part of it and the clarity and forcing yourself to read, like I probably read 7 books during the time I did it the first time. Just getting through it gives you ideas, it gives you that motivation. And that doing something hard, it kind of kicks you into this other thing. And I really feel, and Matt, I'm going to challenge you right here, having your portrait for you taken is hard. It is hard for you to be on the other side of the camera. It's hard for you to accept that. And that's the same thing for a lot of people. And I think if you actually do it and you have that experience and you bite the bullet and you put it on the calendar and you go through it and then you have it and you take the act of hanging on the wall, I think there's some transformation that happens there, and I've experienced it. So you've done something hard, you've accomplished something, you hang it on the wall, and now you have something else to look for. Is that so? That's the idea. It's not called 75 easy. It is 75 hard, and you do. I love the schedule thing too, and I love getting up in the morning and drinking the water, because if you try to slam a gallon of water before you go to bed, it is not going to work. But getting the workout in my walks, like my outdoor walks, I think that's some of the most peaceful, like mind clearing times that I've ever had. And now I'm to the point where if I don't do that ruck in the morning, or if I don't do that walk in the morning, sometimes I pay for it because I'm grouchy, or my wife and kids at home pay for it because I'm not in the same state of mind.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep. And I listened to podcasts when I did it. You get a workout in, even though even a 45-minute walk doesn't sound like, it's not a crazy workout, but you do something. So
yeah, and you can tailor 75 hard for your own thing.
You don't
You
have to
can
walk.
tailor your diet and that kind of thing. The biggest thing is just no compromises. The first time I did it, I was so excited. Matt had me pumped up. I went home and I did everything on my list. I had my workouts in. I had almost done with my water, and my kid had a basketball game, and they lost the regional. I go down to the locker room, and these little neighbor girls are handing out chocolate chip cookies, and before I knew it, I had a chocolate chip cookie in my mouth, and all of my progress for the day was gone. And it was the best thing that could have happened on day one, because I realized how deliberate you had to be about your decisions. And I think we all have to be more deliberate about our decisions. It's so easy to go in automatic mode. And if you're used to going to, Matt gives me trouble about getting my smoothies here in the morning, but if my smoothie is not the right thing and I'm just so used to going to do it and it's not, the sugar is too much or whatever, you got to make changes. You got to deliberately, consciously make efforts to make changes in your world, or whether it's, you're doing photography the same way. We really challenged the people who were at the workshop this weekend to go home and try something new, try something different. Don't go home and just go right back into go mode and do things you've always done because it's comfortable. Go do something hard. Go try something, and you might unlock some creativity that's going to take you to the next level.
Yep, that's the point. If you don't do it, Andy Frisella is the one that created 75 Hard. That's why I keep saying Andy.
Yes.
He talks about serial. What's he call them? I don't know. The people that go, they like consume a bunch of motivational content,
right.
don't do anything with it. Like that's how workshops are, kind of.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there's people that just go because they have extra money, I guess, and they like photography, but they don't ever implement or try any of it. That's not the point. The point is to grow and get better. So unless you use the information that you get, there's no point, I don't think. I mean, it's good to go socialize, but that's not why I'm going to go.
And I will tell you that I feel like I've been a self-development groupie or fan or whatever for a long time. And it's taken me a long time to take all of the stuff that I've learned and listen to, like, actually put it into something like this podcast or the talks and the people, the audience that we have at the workshop. And it's taken me a long time to take that knowledge and absorb it. Like, I haven't always implemented it in my own life or done it. Like, I know about it and I know the stories, but like just knowing about it doesn't help. You actually have to take action on it and put it into work. So what are the things you want to talk about? Anything else that you think we're missing? What's, some keys to photography or some keys to life? What's the best piece of advice you've ever gotten, whether it's photography or life in general? What do you think? Do you have a motto? Do you have a...
No. Work hard. Don't complain. Don't make excuses. Do what you're supposed to do. That's it. I mean, you just need to, whenever I don't do what I'm supposed to do, my work suffers and my business suffers. When I do, everything's fine. So be nice, try to help people. That's really, I mean, basic stuff. I mean, what we've talked about pretty much covers it, to be honest with you. I mean, try to be a good person, try to be honest, and just do your best with everything. If you do that, I try to tell my kids that like everything you do matters. Whether it's making your bed, like Landry just he made his bed terrible the other day, and I told him like it needs to be somewhat straight. Like don't just throw the sheet up and like pile the pillows on top. Straighten them up a little bit. You got to have pride in what you do, because if you start kind of halfway doing stuff, then everything's gonna end up like that. And that's what 75 hard teaches you. I'm gonna go back to that, because you can't compromise at all. You can't have a Dorito. You can't have a cup less than a gallon of water. You can't read 9 pages. It has to be 10. It has to be a gallon. Can't work out for 44 minutes. It has to be 45. They both have to be outside, or one of them has to be outside, not in the garage with the door open, outside. It ain't that hard to walk in the rain, you know.
Yeah.
Just
It's
do
how
it.
you do it. How you do anything is how you do everything. Like
Yeah.
you hear that so many of the self development guys and stuff are preaching that. It was even in a John Wick movie. The guy from the hotel, he says that line in the movie. But how you do anything is how you do everything. And 75 hard does teach you to follow through all the way. Don't take shortcuts. Go
Yeah, and
all the way to the end there.
it also taught me to just do it whenever I have to do something. Like when I would just lay around and it was like 7:30 and I had to go box or walk or whatever, and I didn't want to do it, and I would just lay there like 30 more minutes, 15 more minutes, 5 more minutes. Like it just already be over with if I had just gotten up. Just go do it. When I get up at 4:30 or 5, like don't sit there and hit snooze, which I do that too much still. But like, I mean, just get up and go do it and get it over with. It's not that hard once you start doing it. Nothing is that hard once you start doing it, I don't think. I mean, there probably are things, obviously, but basic stuff in life like that if you need to work out for your mental state, like I do. If I don't work out, I get grumpy. So I just got to go do it. Just get up, put your stuff on, and get out there. Don't complain. Don't put it off.
You
By the
have
time you're in the
way
middle of it,
more
you'll be
hours.
fine. What's
Yeah.
that?
Go ahead.
I said by the time you're in the middle of it, you'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, once you get 25, 30 days in, like you will not, like you do not want to fail. And you'll be amazed at how much time you actually have in your day when you start eliminating distractions, when you spend less time on social media or less time contemplating whether I should do this or not do this. It is wild to kind of unlock these. It feels like it's hidden hours, but they've always been there. Unlock these hidden hours in your day.
Before I did that and had kids, I don't know what I did. I mean, I'm serious. Like
You were
people
using
say,
the pen tool to cut out people,
that was
cut out graphic design.
ridiculous.
We could touch on that real quick before we wrap up. But we were talking yesterday. The AI is a big topic, and what AI has done for photographers, if we use it in the right way, it's really saved us time. Like we were doing some editing yesterday, and we wanted to cut out a football player. Well, Matt used to take hours upon hours to use this pen tool to cut out a football player, where now he selects it, and the AI and the technology just allows us to pull that guy out, make the adjustments we need to, or remove distractions out of the background, and then create a much better image for our client. What are your thoughts, on the AI and how it helps us in our business?
It's just going to make everybody redirect. Not everybody. You have to redirect things. Like, yes, it's going to affect retouchers. Like with the Voto, retouching is so much easier. Like it can do in seconds what it would take me 10 minutes to do before. So, but maybe there'll be engineers. Like I've heard somebody else say that too. Like guys that just they'd still retouch, but they'd use those programs, and so then it's going to save us even more time, and we might not have to pay them as much. But I mean, they might have to figure out some way to alter what they're doing. But that's just the way it's going to have to be. Like that doesn't mean you stop what you're doing. That means you change what you're doing. Like it does make things a lot faster for us, cutting people out especially. So removing things in the background. I mean, there's so much, like extending pictures. I mean, it really is beneficial. Now it can go too far, and creating things that aren't yours and saying they're yours, that kind of stuff is not good. I still think there should be regulations on it, but I don't know how you do that. Maybe it'll evolve to that. I don't know. But right now, I know that it adds tools to your toolbox and saves time. So you'd be stupid not to do it. Now you have to be moral about it and do the right thing, obviously. So there's a line, but as long as you listen to your conscience, which is the Holy Spirit telling you what to do and what not to do. If something's wrong, you're going to know it's wrong, so don't do it. But the things like that, I don't think it's that big a deal. I think that it's going to change what the people did that we paid to do it before. They may have to alter what they do a little bit, but it's not going anywhere. So,
Right. I think we have to break. It's just like, and I feel it's as much of a transition as when we went from film cameras
Yeah.
to digital as it is going from digital to having more AI tools. And when you went from film to digital, there was certainly a transition because you could bring something into Photoshop and manipulate it and do things and change colors or whatever. So you have kind of that same responsibility using AI as you did when you switched from, some people are still old enough to switch from film to digital out there, or that kind of thing, or filters or anything else that you use to enhance things, whether it's, they'll make things easier. You can use it for good or you can use it for evil. And if you use those things for good and it allows more time with your family, or it allows more time for you to work out or to do 75 hard, or to read, or to get better. Like, if you use those tools to your advantage, it can certainly help you grow. So,
yep, I agree.
well, Matt, I certainly appreciate it. We have had a great weekend here. It is always fun to come down here to Kentucky, and I really appreciate you taking some time to take my portrait. I think we've got a couple. We might take a couple more here, but just always a pleasure to come down here. You are really, really good at what you do, and you keep getting better. You keep kind of continuing to amaze, which is awesome. And give yourself a little bit of credit. But the next time we record this podcast, which we will, we are trading places.
But we'll see. Maybe.
We will.
All
Thanks,
right.
man.
Well, you have to talk me into it. But,
I will.
all right.
Thanks, Eli. Good job.
Eli's my video guy. He's awesome.
Yes, he is. We appreciate that. All right. That's a wrap.